Hello. Hi there. Welcome to Jarviskjir Sundays, which is actually Monday for me. It's exactly 1 minute into Monday.
And me.
And well, yeah, but you're in Australia.
You're in the future.
That's kind of cheating, like a lot.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
How is everyone?
Great.
Good. Awake.
We've been talking about dogs and ghosts, and we've agreed that I'm haunted. Either by a ghost or by gnomes,
or both.
Or both.
or both.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think it's a great time. I nearly didn't make it today. I was nearly very asleep. I had to really will myself out of bed and be like, a shower will turn me into a human. Right now I am a slug. But I'm here. Get used to it. So, we can literally continue from where we were last week, where you just defeated the exiled Planivar that you had a contract to take his head, which, if I remember correctly, you did chop off his head.
Oh yeah. In one fell strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this continues pretty much directly after enough time where you take a moment to like get the adrenaline to run back down. You can get right back into your mission. You have the head. None of you are in grave injuries anymore. You can start your long trek back home. Yeah. Kind of what's the plan? Are you planning to go back to the village on the way there, or are you just gonna
First, I would like to
wipe
check
everything?
the body for items or anything that I can take as a keepsake.
Well, why don't you do like a good old investigation check for like the whole area? Because it's sort of like his
Okay.
lair, right?
Yes, investigate. Nothing goes wrong when you investigate.
Nothing is ever
Shush.
going wrong with
Shush
an
you.
investigation check.
I rolled
is-
well. Shush you.
Well, I don't even know what that is. That is a very interesting new bug.
Maybe that's the ghost.
Maybe that's the ghost. I am gonna have to cut that. That can't stand.
By the way, did you ever find your smoky glass?
No, not yet. I haven't found the smoke glass. I'm gonna
Okay.
do that on the way back, I think.
Mm.
I realized Virik realized he was slowing everyone down a bit much looking for it, so he stopped.
Oh.
So, Ollie, make an acrobatics check.
You're not wrong. I'm waiting for my moment. It's huge! It's a huge boy! Do I have a piece of, like, petar? I'm just gonna have to deal with it later. Anyway, with that 18,
Yep.
you sort of hunt around the lair in general. This is a place that someone has been living in for a while, but they're Planivar are sort of very down to earth sort of thing, so it's not like there's a lot to take. You definitely don't find gold or anything like that. You do find similar to the bark scroll that Tobias was given, a very similar thing. I don't think actually Virik saw that. But it is a very similar sort of scroll of giant writing on a sort of slightly flexible bark that is no doubt some sort of magic in some way. Other than that, if you're looking for some sort of keepsake and trinket, he definitely would have, bracelets and necklaces of bone and things that you could easily just snatch. But there's not
I
really
might grab
anything of
one of the
note.
bracelets then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would immediately look at it and go, I can't read it. Scroll thing, anyone?
I'll take it.
Oh man, it's one of those.
Well, what?
Tobias is just totally under the impression that this is the same as the
They
one
can
that...
also make yeah.
We'll talk to the people at the village and see what this does.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to go back to that Trent Ollie and see if we can cleave off some wood from it to potentially make a shield, because I thought that was a cool idea.
Yeah, no, that's entirely fine.
Yeah.
Specifically out of his face.
Yeah.
If the face is
Yeah,
small
what?
enough.
Yeah,
I
no,
want
it would be because it's not like a full treant where it's like a full person. It was kind of becoming one. So whoever wants to try and carve the face off a treant, you can totally do a survival roll. Whoever's in charge of that.
Well, I think we will put the.
And considering you really don't have to
The
worry about
ranger?
time right now, you can
Yeah.
you can essentially give him advantage because the rest of you are helping.
Cool. I'm okay at surviving. I've done it pretty good this far. Maybe. There we go. Shazam.
Took a while.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I was
no,
thinking
that's,
about it.
that's entirely fine. I mean, Tobias comes from a family of foresters.
Right.
Chopping wood is literally like your blood. This boy's been chopping down trees since he
You
was
get
like
the
4.
impression that this isn't the first time he's cut the face off something. Like it's a little too like, oh yeah.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
And you easily, basically, completely remove. I mean, this is not like this will function as a shield yet, but it's one of those things. Anyone with carpentry or woodworking, either or, can over time or over just even very quickly, depending on a check, make this into a shield that may not have any magical properties, but it sure looks cool because it's not just the face. The face was kind of burnt into it with lightning. And it's got sort of a death face on it, kind of similar to an orgasm face. Very similar actually, if you listen to the French. So it looks pretty sweet.
All right.
Parallel I didn't know I didn't need to hear, but yeah, that's cool. I will just hand that to
I can carry it if you.
Okay, if you'd like, sure.
Yes.
I'm happy to carry it if you'd like, but either way.
Just I'm fairly sure she has a bigger carry weight, even though I don't really worry about it.
I mean, like I kind of like look at you like
He's
you
scrawny.
can, if you're able to.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely am able to, but if you'd like to, I'm totally okay with letting you carry the weight. That's not a problem.
I'll just drop the heavy piece of wood like in his arms.
Fun.
I'm not
would I
that
also
weak.
be able to
No, you're not.
Look for the smoke glass on the way back as well.
Survival roll.
Ooh, okay.
So you're
no.
down here actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you want some help?
So I look at my
If
survival.
you want to give
and-
some help and sort of slow down, because considering you're now not fighting monsters on your way through the forest, you could totally give him advantage.
I can give you advantage, yeah.
Yeah.
Tobias was just gonna stop and try to help you find some.
Hey, thank you. Okay.
I think it's entirely reasonable because before
Oh,
you
no.
had to, you
Hey,
were
that's better.
going through hunting something, and they were very much his minions as well. With a 15, that's absolutely fine for you to find, like, you know, a few chunks of smoke glass. It's actually quite a beautiful material. It's got that kind of umber, burnt color to it, and is
Oh, yeah.
translucent enough that it literally will end up acting like sunglasses.
Yeah. So what I'll probably do is I'll grab 3 pieces, roughly big enough, so that there will be a piece left over, so I can keep it, but also so he can choose the best one of the 3, the best 2 of the 3.
That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, I think that's entirely reasonable.
Yeah.
And you can start heading back to the village. I don't remember if you were or weren't. You said you wanted to go and ask the people about the scroll. So yes, going back to the village is a lot easier. You don't have to do any kind of rolls because you have a ranger who lives in forests all the times, and you're going back on yourself. So this is something that you can entirely do at your own leisure and traveling. Although it is still this very, very old, giant-sized forest. So, in some places, traversing is just very difficult. But Tobias can easily guide you around it. Ranger things. And you can make it back to that village around about in the middle of the afternoon. It's always kind of gloomy here just because of the way that there's several layers of tree canopy above you.
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, well, exactly. It puts some strain off you. Yeah, when you get back to the village, there's not really any kind of like, hey, they're back, or anything like that. The village is just kind of going.
So, I just want to point out, we don't like just have the head brandished, right? We just-
Yeah, that might be a little much.
At some point, Did we put the head in a bag? Someone tell me we put the head in the bag.
They're Vikings.
I was gonna say like
They wouldn't put it in a bag.
my first instinct would be just to be like
into a bag quickly.
okay.
Just like any kind of cloth that.
So
I
for
have
like
on
the
me.
couple of hours you were traveling, it was definitely just on Eleanor's belt,
I was about to say it would
like-
just be on someone's belt.
just
like,
tied by like the hair.
Just walking into an area of these people, even if he's in exile, you know, everyone might not recognize that right away.
Yeah, no, you're a
Might be a
little
bit much.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
there
I
are
will
children
allow
around.
this.
They told us not to fornicate around the children. I assume they also don't want us to behead things around the children.
Well, you know, you aren't beheading; you just have a head. But yeah,
Yeah, but you know,
huge difference.
It's a prop.
so yeah, no, that's fine. You
Realize
take it off the Vikings and you put the head in a bag, so that it's not a head tied to Eleanor's belt by the hair. And you can you stop basically before you enter the village to do that, and then are you trying to find the elder or the
the dude who made the beer making scroll.
he didn't make it, he just
He
showed
said-
you
he
it.
did- He did say he was gonna write another one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Considering this is a small village and you know where this guy is, you find him very easily. He's in the chieftain's sort of hut, because he is clearly next in line to be that sort of druidic chief kind of individual. Very similar to when you came by another time. He appears to be meditating. The chief is not in sight.
Okay. I'm gonna wait patiently for him to stop meditating.
But you are.
But I don't know if anyone.
After a couple of moments, well, this is your little away mission here. After a couple of moments, he like an eye will open and kind of adjust onto you, and he will stand back up. Remember, this is the kind of hipstery looking millennial giant with the top knot and things, and much younger than the others.
Right.
And he'll like pull himself up. He doesn't have a staff or anything like that. Being a big guy, it takes like a lot of like effort, and kind of looks down at Barut, and in giant, is just like, "You're back."
Yes, we had, I would say, a good level of success on the mission. But we found something after we, did what we needed to do, and I'll pull out the scroll. And I'm wondering if you can tell me what this is.
I know what this is. He stole it. And they'll just
Oh.
kind of like take it from you with pretty big hands.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna stop him.
No, exactly. This magic allows someone to look much larger. Meant to emulate what we once were.
Well, that explains what he was doing earlier, because he's done that a couple of times to us, and he won't be anymore. But I'm glad we could return it then.
He like very kind of like tilts and sees that. Sure, you put the head in a bag, but I imagine it's kind of like clasped to your other bag, and there's just like blood dripping from
There's
it
a little bit.
because it's a
Yeah.
very fresh. It's a fresh
Yeah.
head. If he kind of tilts his head and goes, and we will not give it back.
No,
and
I wouldn't ask for it back, but
kind of just sort of sit back down, like, okay, your time here is done. But before maybe if you turn to leave while he's sitting back down, he goes, "Remember that you're welcome here. You're part of the tribe now."
I appreciate that, and we certainly will be back when we have the opportunity. We have felt very welcomed here. Thank you for that.
And then he won't say anything. You turn and leave and can start heading the heck out. Hecking the head out.
Yeah.
Unless anyone has anything else you want to do in the village.
I mean, we don't have to like get into it, but I'm definitely gonna swing by and see Grandma before we leave.
You will definitely leave with full bellies if you go by and see Grandma.
Excellent.
Which is
Grandma,
a brilliant idea because it is dinner time. So... Yeah,
Thank
no.
you, Tobias, for remembering dinner time.
Well, you know, elves sometimes have a tendency to forget to eat. Humans do
Yeah.
not. So,
One less thing I have to hunt for us on the way back.
Well, yeah.
exactly. So then, when you're nice and fed and can leave, you can go out a couple extra hours until it goes to night. Have a camp where you don't have to gather any food or anything, or even cook anything, and you can just rest. And it's always a nice deep sleep after eating a giant meal like that, literally both in size and culture. And then you can continue working your way out of the forest, which is not difficult considering you have a ranger. I always say that, imagine how difficult the campaigns would be if you didn't have a ranger. There would just be a lot more stuff happening. But heading out of the forest, the way you came in is entirely fine. And then, over a period of several days, you start walking back to Slate Cove. The walk back is relatively easy. It's terrain that the two Vikings in the party are very used to. It's snowy. It's not the ice that you get if you go further east where there starts to be real danger. It's mostly rock and snow and hills and little sparse areas of forest, which means there's easy enough for you to gather food. And this bush grows berries only at this time of year in spring and stuff like that, so that you go back and you're plenty fed after traveling. I think it was more or less 5 or so days there, so it'd be about the same back. When you get back to Slate Cove, a town like that, it never looks like anything's changed. It's always more or less the same. When you start approaching it, most of the town is hidden from view behind the ring of Haldun, but you see the occasional plumes of smoke from houses. You see the sort of outer parts of the town are built outside of the big rock ring, and you can actually see the sea and quite a few boats. Clearly, you must be coming back around the time when the fishermen come back. Really no other reason for you to dilly-dally on the way back to Kazangard. So you head back home, and the first people to see you will actually be Eleanor's attendants that have names.
Castor and Aaron.
What? Yeah,
And Barnum.
And Barnum.
It's Aaron was the one I was looking for, actually. Aaron is the one who would first notice you get back, because she is sitting in the... They're like sort of outside fixing some of the broken parts of the wall. And Aaron turns around and is like, "Oh, miss, you're back. A good hunt, I presume?"
Yes, very.
And I imagine...
I'll show off whatever we have to show off.
You like take the head
Yes.
from the bag. It's like, "Oh, very good."
Sure is a severed head.
Yeah, it's a severed head of a creature that is just not human enough, but human enough that it's like very unsettling. And it's been around several days, so like it started to spoil. It's when Caster sort of speaks up and pushes his spectacles up his nose and goes, "When are you going to be taking that back to the... I assume the Baroness would want to see your kill. She put you on this task,
Yeah.
correct?"
Well, we weren't gonna keep it in our footlocker.
Of course not.
We'll be leaving shortly.
And if anyone you want to see real quick while you're popping in?
No. I'll give Aaron my several broken javelins.
Yeah, exactly.
I start with 5. So I have plenty.
Do your attendants happen to know woodworking?
Enough to
Barnum.
fix things, enough to make a shield. Probably not.
Yeah, exactly. Barnum is kind of a you know, like a handyman, a man with a van kind of man.
Yeah.
Like a jack of all trades, but probably couldn't make a shield.
I just realized that I actually am proficient in woodworking.
Well, that explains why you got the face off so easily.
I was just like, wait, and it's like carpentry tools.
But we are getting paid relatively soon. If you want to leave the wood here with someone, maybe in town, they can work on that while we're gone.
Yeah, we could certainly take a look at that. I'm not as familiar with the town. Tobias, do you know of a carpenter in town.
Oh yeah,
Totally.
tons. Well,
Yeah.
tons in terms of
Uh-huh.
Slate Cove. There are 2.
Okay.
We can, if we want to swing by the old homestead, we can take you down to old Gen. I'm sure he'll give you a good deal.
Sure. Why not? Should we drop off the head first? Or...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he's not partial to having a severed head in his woodworking
Let's
shop,
drop off
but
the head first.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Let's go deliver our.
Awesome. So
Good idea.
it's kind of noon. So traveling over to the Baroness it would be early-ish afternoon. It wouldn't be crazy. You as you head over, it's more or less the same. They've clearly, in the week and a bit you've been gone, took care of most of the overgrown plants. They didn't go back after the spell was cast. They're still how they are. And actually, when you get back there, you see clearly, like, stewards and servants of the house who are not gardeners, because you wouldn't have a gardener in this kind of environment, who are just sort of, like, literally, like, just with axes, just, like, hacking away at the giant twisting brambles that were created. But at least in the entryway that you had to hack out of is cleared, and you can head in. The kind of beautiful little areas of wildflowers are not quite as pretty now. And the trees, now that you have the time to look, it's just clear the kind of craziness that this magic caused. When you actually head up to the castle itself, one of those sort of royal guards will just kind of look over you and do like and then open the door. Doesn't really need to say any words. They know why you're here. And you can head in. When you head in, do you yell? I don't know why I just imagine the idea of one of you yelling.
I mean, I would.
No.
There's a good chance that someone else might yell.
Okay, good.
I mean,
You head in. You are. This is as close to high society as this town has. One of the whole things is that instead of having a chieftain, this place has a baroness. It is a little weird. But even then, it doesn't quite actually go to the length of high society that maybe Virik and Barut have seen in other places. Instead of waiting for you go and sit down somewhere and wait for a steward. No, the actual entrance, now that you're not entering from the meeting hall, from the eating hall, is very similar to Chasmguard. It's just a sort of stairs that go up to other parts in the tower, but these are stone instead of wood. And after a little bit of time, the Baroness actually starts coming down, wearing more or less the same thing as before, with the sort of circlet and the leather coat. And she wouldn't even go all the way down the stairs, which gives her more a height advantage with the tall people in the party. And just kind of has her hands on her hips and is like, well, show me then. Do you take it out the bag?
It's still in the bag right now, but I'm going to undo the small of the bag and just slide the bag down just a little bit. Showing basically from here up of the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, you killed the bastard. All right.
Just slide that back in there in the bag and do up the bag. Wipe off my hand a little
Yeah,
bit.
just put that on the side.
All right. Yeah.
You do.
Just down over there.
She kind of looks down and thinks to herself and Ben's like, you did well. I mean, I'm not one to trust the likes of monster hunters like you, but you did well. Anyway, your coin? And she'll kind of actually reach for like a coin purse instead of like a lockbox or anything and just start divvying out the coin. Mostly giving it all to Barut, but instead of going for the whole thing, using it back. Everyone aside from Barut gets, what is it, 166?
160. I think it just was 160.
160 gold.
Yeah.
160 gold each, aside from Barut, who shirked his pay. And when you sort of maybe are walking away and he's giving it to everyone, you would notice that there is none left for him. unless he makes any effort to hide that, which I don't imagine he does. But while you're there, she'll kind of do that and sort of look at Barut and look at the others and just be like, well, what do you want to hug? Get out of here. You're done.
Be nice.
But I suppose if I have any other monsters I need killing, I might ask.
Thank you very much. And
Have a lovely day.
Bow. And it's going to be a nice bow this time. It's going to be an actual, like, proper bow. He's learned how to bow.
They definitely do not bow here.
No, but he does.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, because he's bowing, he can't really see, but she's just sort of like... Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's okay.
And she literally just, like, turns and walks away before you guys properly do.
I will say, the second you said, what are you waiting for? Like, get out of here. Virik would just turn around and start walking.
Yeah!
Even with the rest of the conversation, Virik's just walking out.
Exactly. And you can head back to Chasmguard with your coin. Barut divvies out the coin to everyone, leaving the amount that he is going to the guild, but none for him. 160 gold each. That's a lot of money. That's what happens when you work for the Baroness.
As we kind of go out, I'll fall back a little bit and go to Barut and be like, you didn't take a cut for yourself.
No. We needed to make sure that the Baroness found the Greyfists in good graces again. Lowering the price was the correct move, whether that was something that was beneficial to me or not.
Well, I suppose the gratitude of a tyrant's better than her ire. But feels a little wrong. And I'm going to hand you 50 gold pieces and be like, you should at least get something.
Well, thank you, but I shirked my pay for a reason, and I'm gonna hand it back to you and say thank you very much. But you came here for the glory. Revel in it.
Well, you don't have to tell me twice. And then I'll just kind of nod and give you a shoulder clap and keep going.
And I will just say, as you keep going, you can buy me a drink sometime, though.
He's getting used to how it works here.
Yeah.
Are you going to go ahead back to the carpenter then now? Because it's sort of actually where the Baroness's house is kind of your neck of the woods. Doesn't make it sound like you don't live in a high class area or anything, but it's just sort of that side of town.
It's close to where the water is.
Yeah.
Like we fish.
It's also not that big of a town.
Yeah.
You can easily find the carpenter. Like I said, only 2 carpenters of note. It's actually the kind of town where a lot of people can do enough to get by. Oh, I need to fix the boat. Stuff like that. But we were thinking of actual people who can make wooden crafts of value.
Yeah.
And with that, you go to Gin, who you can tell they're a wooden carpenter because when you go to their house, which is kind of in the forest a little, the actual like outside of the house is just very well decorated. It's got that kind of Nordic like sort of snakes which have very detailed scales carved into them that go over a very large door on a small house. And he's actually not even in the house. He is outside of the house, actually chopping wood. Sort of cutting it in what is sort of a hand crank circular saw kind of thing. Pretty advanced technology for this area to actually cut wood into like a bit of a better quality. When you approach, I mean, you're not trying to be quiet, and also you're going through forest, so there's like crunching of the leaves and the twigs below your feet and stuff. And he'll sort of stand up and kind of do a bit of a motion. He's got a kind of a little plain face, but sort of greyish beard and hair and tattoos of note. I mean, everyone you meet in this town is going to have tattoos, at least saying that they are now an adult, aside from children. They won't have those. But he has a couple more that show, he's been in a few battles, he's made a master craft, stuff like that. He'll kind of take a little bit of time to notice you, Tobias, and be like, What are you doing here? I thought you'd gone off to fight.
I'll just give him a nod and be like, yeah, well, I did, and now I'm back. So until I go back out the next time, I have a friend here who's looking to get some woodworking done, and well, you're what came to mind. And I'll kind of motion to Eleanor.
Oh, bloody hell, an elf. All right. And he kind of like moves some of the things on like the outside woodworking tables and kind of presents himself a little higher. There are enough elves in this town that people know how to interact with elves, but they're high elves, so that he kind of stands as if he was talking to one. Of course, Farouk is not a high elf.
He's an elf.
I just learned how to bow today. Well, I'd pull out the face of the tree and say, we'd like to have this made into a shield with the face here as the face of the shield.
Aye, that's interesting. Kind of gives Tobias like another look, like, you know, in this kind of area, existence of tree ents and walking trees is known. That's like a monster that exists. So he kind of, it's like a respectful look and a bit of a nod. It's like, I can do that. Aye. And he kind of like would take it from you with actually a little less strength than you, because it's a heavy thing, and prop it on something and kind of like look at the back of it, look at the front of it, and go like, I could do this. I think it'd cost you time and manpower involved, and then the varnishing and the 6 gold.
Absolutely. And I would prepay. And
Yeah.
give it to him now. Yeah.
He'll be appreciatively nod and kind of start moving things and put the gold in like a pocket and saying, I don't think it'll take me awful long. 4 days?
4 days. And I'll actually outstretch my hand to shake his hand rather than...
He'll give
bow.
you a solid Northman handshake,
Yeah, good.
as you would
And,
expect.
Yeah, I've been here just long enough to be used to that now, but only barely. And I just say thank you very much, and turn to Tobias and say thank you for the recommendation. I look forward to seeing your work again. And turn you back.
As we turn to leave, Jarviskjir just sort of stop and go, oh, wait a second, and pull out the plant mask thing you got. And turn,
Yeah.
Could you make this into a proper mask, like clean it up a bit, but, like smooth the edges and stuff? Like this one?
Yeah. Not
Pretty
like
cool.
not like that one.
Well, no, but like as in just a mask.
Who made that?
Friend of mine.
Oh, it's very pleasant.
I don't want to offend you.
This won't take long. Gold?
Okay, do it after the shield though. There's no rush on this one, and I'll actually hand over 2 gold.
Oh, hey, you big spender.
For Varric, handing over more gold than he needs to pay is a big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you can start heading back to Kazumgard. You already hear the sounds of wood being crafted when you start heading back into town and walking down the river and heading to Kazumgard.
While we're going back through town, would it be possible to purchase some studded leather?
Yeah, studded leather with book price would totally be viable just in town.
Perfect. I'm gonna do that while we go through.
Yeah, the kind of the way I always think of it, at least in Jarviskjir, is that leather armor, like basic leather armor, is very rarely actually true armor. It's just like actual like leather equipment and leather clothing. Whereas studded leather is when it's actually, this is built to protect your body properly. And that would very much be gettable in town. Not
Perfect. I will swing by a place that sells that and buy some. I also want to take a trip, if we have the time, just to swing by the old homestead for a second. I mean, you guys don't have to come for that if you don't want to, but
No, I think that's entirely fine.
I mean, if you want to meet me mom and me dad,
Yeah.
you can swing by the old homestead.
I want to see what a normal North
Certainly.
family looks like. This is a cultural opportunity for Brew. He's very excited. He's got his notebook ready. He's just, very inappropriately going to be taking notes about your entire family.
No, you can entirely go to your and Tobias's house is very similar to Gin's house in the sort of area in that it's set in the forest, but it's bigger because it's actually a family house. Whereas Gin never married, he loved the wood too much,
He's married to his work.
and that. But when you come back, it as always is your mum that finds you first because they know. Mum senses are very strong. Like as you're walking up the little stone steps that would go up to the house, she would come out and she'd give you a big, overly strong hug. Be like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're back." And you'd like kind of look you over, make sure you don't have any like scratches, and you don't on your face.
Not on my face.
And kind of take a couple of moments to realize the group of people behind you.
I'll
And
just kind of motion and then be like, "Hey, Mom, these are my friends from the Monster Hunt, from the Greyfist, from the Monster Hunters Guild.
oh, really? Oh,
Colleagues, I guess, would be the right word."
No, friends. Brood puts his hand on your shoulder. We've gone through enough now, I think, that we can call each other friends.
it would be as that happens that your dad would appear, who is kind of
Perfect
a bigger, beardier Tobias, kind of lumbering through the door frame, like, "Huh, you're friends with an elf."
See, they're really not that bad once you get to know them.
I'll take your word for it, son.
And I'll say, "Well, despite what you may think, if it weren't for these guys, I might not be standing here in front of you, so..."
Now that, pointing at Eleanor, that's a monster hunter.
I'll give him like an appreciative nod.
Brew is just nodding. Yeah,
He's not wrong.
absolutely true.
Fair enough.
And it would end up being one of those things where we don't roleplay the whole thing. But
Yeah,
you would
yeah.
be invited in for dinner, and you would of course take it because no one cooks quite like Mum. The whole family would be there, and your brother and sister are younger than you, aren't they?
Yeah.
They would be
Brother's
just
like a little bit, sister like a lot.
yeah. Sister is just fascinated in Virik because Virik is like a mysterious stranger, and you know how girls sometimes are. Just very fascinated in these new people. Elias, your brother, would be trying to act strong in front of Eleanor, be like, "I once cut through 2 firewood with 1 swing." Like stuff like that. That is... it is how it is.
Teenage.
But you eat, and you'd either be asked if you wanted to stay here, but you probably would head back instead.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I want to, I mean, what grown man doesn't want to live in his parents' house? Like, I do unfortunately gotta get
You got a
back.
job.
Yeah.
You would go back with a package of breads and cheeses and things. As a good trips to your parents involve gifts of food to take back.
Always appreciated. As we head out, I'm gonna kind of pull Mom and Dad aside when the 2 youngsters are either distracted / enamored with my friends here or just whatever. And I'm gonna give them a bag of 50 gold pieces
Yeah.
from the recent haul and just be like, "This is for you guys. Do something with this."
It's very similar to the same reaction where your mom is just kind of like overwhelmed and happy and kisses your cheeks and pulls at him, or your dad just kind of gives you like the respectful nod and is like, you don't need to do this.
This is well, what I do. I mean, family.
Yeah, and it's exactly that kind of thing of like, you don't need to. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I told you part of the reason I was gonna do this was so that I could not only make a name for our family, but also make up for not being at the docks and such. So hopefully this does that.
No. We are proud of you, son. Hopefully your brother ends up going your path. Kind of looking at him being like, yeah, like, let me check this out. Like, there's nothing there. And he's not that young either. He's just that age of still an idiot.
I'm quite polite through the whole thing.
Wow, 2 lines. Wow.
Virik would actually probably be enjoying the whole experience because this is not something he's ever.
This is
had or
family.
seen.
Yeah, this is family.
This is completely unique to him.
This is reminding Bruit of home, actually, a little bit, surprisingly enough. So he stopped taking notes and is just enjoying the moment.
You head back again with that package of breads and cheeses late in the night. Late enough that it'd be time to hit a tavern, but you know, you're already full of food. And probably end up going straight to bed. The next morning, you aren't awoken early or anything like that, aside from that instead of the sounds of the forest that you've grown used to, or the sort of snowy outlands, you're awoken to the sounds of the town, which, okay, Barut and Virik, they're not as loud as other cities, but they're still loud, because it's a town filled with people, filled with humans as well. They're very loud.
Virik gets up and looks for a way to try and shut the window.
The window does not close.
No,
Yeah,
but
he
we
gets
have
up, goes back to
extra
lying down.
windows that we could squish in there and just block it out.
Yes,
I'm not
you
giving
could.
up my pillows.
Yeah. I provided you with a solution, and you didn't want to take it. So.
Yep.
Bruin's also probably up already. And
Exactly. Is there anything you really are interested in doing in town or in Chasmguard over the, you know, as you're back, right?
I need to give them their cut.
Yes, that would, you know, that would be easy enough. You go to either Kindle or Hurl Giant in the morning, and they'll take it off you.
Yeah.
I do need to see Kinley at some point.
So it's one of those old Barut goes and has a conversation with her, handing over the money as he leaves. Yeah. Virik is kind of sheepishly at the door again.
Okay.
Bruin pats him on the shoulder as he walks by.
If I die, you know who did it. Okay.
Oh,
and I go in.
I love it. Absolutely.
Virik. You survived that hunt then?
Barely. But yes. Okay. I have a question, and it may seem strange if you know what it's talking about, but I don't. I commissioned that gnome you told me about to make the glasses. But he said that if he ever saw an Avarai, he would shoot it with a bow. What's an Avarai? It's not a drow, is it?
Oh, no. They are elvish ancestors who fell in with the Fae. They are more or less wild beasts.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That makes sense.
Gnomes dislike them because gnomes were replaced by them. At least so the stories go.
Oh. Oh, well, okay. Thank you very much, and I'll leave you be. It turns around and goes to leave.
She will definitely not continue conversation.
Yep.
So I'm going to take 100 of my gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put it in a separate pouch, and I'm going to hand that to Barnum. I'm going to say this is for the children. Make sure it gets to them. Have Aaron write a letter. Or no, have Castor write a letter sending my love, and that I will be there as soon as possible to visit.
Mm-hmm. And they will, of course, absolutely do so. Where was it that you were placing the orphanage?
I don't know. I was going to leave it up to you.
Okay.
So I don't know the area super well.
Yes. There's kind of a couple of places they could be. So I'll figure that out. I didn't even think about it until now. But yeah, they organize that.
Awesome.
As they do. Being your servants, they do all the busy work. Writing a letter?
Can't be bothered.
No.
You need to take that glass to the gnome. Speaking of,
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
I want to come
Yes.
with you for that because I want to meet him because I don't think I really did last time.
No, well, it's one of those things when you actually follow him into town, you recognize this gnome because in the times that you've gone to town to like pick up food and things from the main market hall of this town, he's always been there. He just has a little stall there. He's very much what you would imagine your typical rock gnome to look like, with sort of whitish hair and working away on crafting things. It seems that a lot of the time when there's sort of like fiddly things that just you need smaller hands to work on, that's what he does, as well as these weapons and things. He definitely won't notice you as you approach. He's kind of actually making a he's chiseling a small horse out of stone. And when you maybe clear your throat or so, like when you're standing before him, he'll look up. Oh, you were looking for the smoke glass for me.
Yes, I was, and I'll get the 3 pieces out of my backpack. I got 3 just in case one didn't work and that sort of thing.
He'll kind of do the old like raise it to the sun, give him some taps.
Also, I have a little bit of an extra bit to that request. Looking around, is there like a way I can angle myself so I'm just facing him and like the
his cart's like up against the wall, so yeah, you can kind of like
so
be a flasher if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to take off my mask. It's going to be a shock, not the shock you're expecting. Okay, and I'm going to take off the mask.
God!
Wait, it's okay.
He's nice.
Yeah.
For what it's worth,
I hate the rest of the drow. It's okay. They're terrible. I hate them, but I'm good.
Well,
he's someone I trust with my life. Not that you necessarily would trust my word, but he is someone I trust with my life. And I wouldn't say that about just anybody.
Thank you.
That's very sweet, but really it's the gold that does the talking. 50 gold?
Okay. Yeah, and I'll hand over 50 gold.
He will do the whole like examine it, bite it, a little suspiciously kind of actually put the bag on a set of scales. And then,
how much extra would it be to make it so I could slot the goggles into the mask? Which is why I had to take it off.
Oh, that wouldn't be extra. He kind of like would like take the mask from you and examine the inside of it. No, I suppose that makes sense. Oh, yeah, I'll just have to thin the glass down a bit more. No, that'd be fine. So kind of hands it back to you, the mask, and then
thank you.
We'll take the 2 better pieces of the smoke glass and start heating up, elements and things, and be like, okay, this will... If I spend all day on it, it'll take me a day.
Okay, and I'll hand him 10 extra gold and say, this is for not attacking. Thank you.
I never attack anyone with heavy pockets.
Thank you. So how long do you think this will take?
Probably a day. Come by tomorrow, I might have it done.
Awesome. Thank you. And I'll give a little bow. And are you ready to go?
Yeah. And I'm just going to say it's very nice to meet you. And I'm going to turn away as well.
Good. You're doing all the busy work.
Yeah.
What else would you guys sort of be doing on your once you're back? Drinking? Just going to the local bars?
That's it.
Yeah.
If I remember right, the last time I brought up looking for the chakram, you mentioned there was the Elven Temple.
There is an Elven Temple that you haven't gone to yet.
Would I be able to go and visit that? I would actually offer Brute to...
Yeah, to like you're on this little lads on tour journey together.
Yeah!
Absolutely. You absolutely can go. It's one of those things where you've not been there before, so you take a little bit of time getting around the town, but there's no urgency or anything. The Elvish Temple is actually inside the Ring of Haldun, but it's on the southern side of the town, closer to the Elvish district. And it is a pretty extravagant building, which kind of goes up a few layers, and then has sort of a slightly Greekish sort of temple on top with, pillars and things. It's sort of somewhere between Greek and Egyptian and stuff like that. Cool. When you would walk up, it'd be the kind of thing, just because it's like got these nice stairs, there's sometimes some people there sort of sitting there eating street food and stuff. But when you get further up, you see maybe a couple of high elves having a conversation who notice you as you approach. Then when you actually get to the temple, when you go to the top of the temple and you expect to walk into like maybe a church-like chamber or something, it's actually an open air sort of room with an open roof and a pool and some statues, and then further in is like more of the actual temple. But when you sort of get into that area, one of the high elves who approaches wearing I believe these ones wear the sort of golden robes with lots of filigree. They would approach, seeing Barut, seeing both of you, but kind of addressing Barut, be like, a brother from far afield. You have come to pay homage to the sun?
Well, not in those exact words, although I will be honest, I find this place to be absolutely beautiful. I've traveled, as you can imagine, very far, and I've seen many temples. This one is unique to those that I've seen. I am very happy to have seen it.
This temple was crafted explicitly to increase relations with the northern humans, and to attempt to enlighten them in how the sun protects and affects life. After all, they would not be existing without its glory.
Well, I find it absolutely fascinating, the cultural impact between the two. It is just, I mean, the design is fascinating in and of itself, but the fact that it is so ingrained within the town's historical structures, it's a brilliant move culturally. I must say, just absolutely well done. Now, I also believe that my friend here has come for a particular reason, though I'm actually not privy to what that is. And I'm going to turn to Derek here.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you knew. Well, first of all, I agree with him. This place is amazing.
It is.
But I was coming to wonder if you knew anyone that was particularly good at crafting elven weapons, or the weapons and things with more elvish design than the people around here.
Ah, yes. You are interested in crafts of war that are beyond what the Northmen could ever dream to craft, yes. We do have a smith on site for all things that are needed. Elven metal is shipped from our homeland. Come, let me show. And starts walking you through the temple, which is very much this... It kind of would feel like a lived-in space if it wasn't so high elven and kind of clinical. Because when you sort of go through that room that is kind of like a church chamber where the sun streams in, and you go down side passages and things, there's clearly little areas where like a little library or a little, and you find your way to like a little crafting hall where this blacksmith is working. When you do, they are obviously a high elf. High elves, just so you know why they've not really actually been introduced properly in this setting. They usually have a skin tone that is somewhere in the sort of like yellowish golds to light browns. Some of them are very pale. There's a wide variety, as there is with every race. But you can always tell them apart just from sort of the way they... A true high elf in a high elven culture just stands in that very regal, statuesque way. Even moving, even this weaponsmith who is crafting, they are doing it in such a very practiced way. It's like an art form. Well, it is an art form. It's kind of like a dance. He is currently crafting a dagger. And you can see that he's actually sort of moving his hand over, and water is moving from a trough nearby over, cooling it in just the right areas at the right times to give the actual correct look that he wants, instead of just like dunking the entire thing. And the water is of course moving in sort of balls and stuff, and then eventually splashes back down into the trough. He will then, once that's finished being done, sort of clasp his hands together and look at the two of you And then the priest would sort of in Elvish, but of course a lot of this probably was in Elvish, which if you came in here started talking Elvish, they obviously would have talked back. Would have gone, this individual is looking for elven craft. And he nods and says, well, they've come to the right place. Gentlemen, my name is Faye. I am here to assist. What is it that you are interested in? I assume you have come to commission?
Yes, thank you. And nice to meet you, Faye. So, do you know what I assume you know chakrams?
His look before was very measured. Barut, you've actually spent the most time with high elves. They are very much the kind of elves you often imagine fantasy, where they like don't show elf a lot of emotion most of the time, but that's like causes a smile to sort of appear, and he nods and says, "You're interested in a chakram or a pair?"
A pair, yes.
That is exceedingly interesting. That could be crafted.
Okay. Just how much?
Not anyone can handle an elvish chakram. Their weights are so precise that this single motion could remove one's own hand.
That's why I've been practicing with this. I was not allowed to use chakrams when I was training. I had to use this until I was ready.
He kind of gives a slightly... It's a kind of a mixed look of like, I'm unimpressed with using a boomerang. That's a very strange weapon. But there's, like, your actual point makes sense. So he'll nod and will say, there's a strange individual, but...
So I've been told.
I will not turn down a masked man who walks into my hall requesting special crafts. A pair of chakrams will cost 100 gold pieces.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll pull out 100 gold pieces and hand it over.
It's one of them where the two of them seem slightly impressed that you have 100 gold pieces. You actually see like even like his ears slightly move, slightly like almost like perk up, like excellent choice, and we'll take them, put them aside, the coin, and then we'll actually start basically showing you in books like what would you want. And you can get the chakram design you essentially are imagining for Virik, which we can go over when they're done.
Yeah, sounds good.
Barut.
I would like to just once we see the quality of craft, and I'm sure it's amazing, because from what I just saw with that dagger, you move well. I've seen elven craft before, and that was very elegant and well done, even for elven craft. At some point in the future, I'm going to be looking to replace my armor. In the future. I'm not ready to yet. I've still got some emotional attachment to it. But I want to know if it's something that you would be willing to do, given the nature of my armor. And I'm going to remove my cloak and show... Actually, this might be the first time that Virik has seen this. I have it is a full... oh gosh, what's it? It's
Scale mail, isn't it?
Yeah, word I was looking for. But it's full scale mail, but on the front there's actually the golden design of a
It's very emotional. It's very emotional. It's gone right to the lungs. That's where the feelings are processed.
I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. Hey, it's like a deer head with horns. I mean,
A deer head with horns?
yeah, look.
Like stag head kind of thing, but
Stag head,
more
thank you.
deer-like, more elegant.
Yeah, and it's very... Oh my goodness, I'm dying. It's very... It's very clearly a symbol of an elvish god, though Virik might not know that, but
He wouldn't. These people obviously do.
but they would know,
Yeah.
and I would say I would be looking to again add the stag head to a half plate in the future. Specifically, if possible, this stag head when the time comes. It has some significance to me.
I suppose that would be possible, although do understand that my craft takes time.
Of course.
Everything must be perfect, otherwise there is no purpose. That could be completed, though it would take many, many weeks.
I understand. And the stag head can be removed from the front of my armor. That is something that I could have done beforehand so that it could be given to you, so I wouldn't have to not have my armor for the several weeks that it would take. It is something that I added to my armor. As you can tell, not nearly as well as someone of your skill would be able to do. But with the help of my family back home.
I understand. This will be something we have to address at a later date, but if there are no other jobs...
Willing to. I understand.
I would be willing and I would be able.
Excellent. Then in the future, I look forward to doing a deal with you on this very note.
He nods and will start actually drawing the designs he needs. He doesn't tell you how long it's going to be, Virik, but just from that conversation, you think it might actually be quite a while. But ultimately, good, proper High Elven craft would take quite a while.
And Virik is very much willing to wait. So he will give a bow and thank you. And go to leave with Brute. If Brute's done here, that is.
Brute, give me a insight check.
Sight.
Ooh, I didn't mute my main game.
Oh!
Also, I never noticed... did you change your dice to white, Barut? To grey?
I did.
Do not do that, because now it is a ghost dice.
I will change the color.
Yeah.
But the reason why I changed it off the other ones is because the other ones were rolling like crap, so I changed the color.
No, that's true, but if you go to white or grey, I chroma key the white away, so it's just a ghost 20.
There you go. It's a new color now that's just a lighter...
So... As you're leaving, you actually start thinking more about their faith and things. The faith is not so much of a surprise. It is kind of how you've seen in other places. I mean, they worship the sun mostly, as they are high elves who are descended from sun elves, but they worship all the other elven gods just as much, and some of them worship Erelden Arkbrike, the lead god of the pantheon. Other elves believe, but this is clearly one meant for the true faith. But you have a thought process that probably not the best crafter would be sent to kind of be the house crafter of a place like this. Just so you know, that clearly competent.
Oh yeah.
But very clearly not even probably actually a low standard when it comes to elven craft. Just so you know.
Oh, no, I was aware. Most of what I was saying to him was definitely flattery. Because it's one of those things where, yeah.
I just wanted you to know, which is why I would do that insight check. Because Virik wouldn't have known that, because Virik's just like, oh, this is really cool. Barut would have known that.
Yeah.
Virik totally thinks that was bloody awesome. It's like, yes.
and Barut's not gonna burst his bubble on that. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, absolutely, it was great. One of these days, we'll go and we'll travel and we'll find some other elvish crafters that we can maybe, take a look at and show you more of their ways. And Bruit's really thinking where I will probably actually commission my armor and where we will actually like better chakrams.
Whereas that's a good ask to be like, oh, do you think a high elven crafter would want to do this? No, but more or less, it's just a kind of interesting job, so they're probably gonna do it.
Exactly.
But anyway, with that, why don't we take our first break?
I will do a very quick little addition to the end of that when we walk out of the place. Rick's just turn to him and go, so if they find out who I am, I'm dead.
Oh, yes, most.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someday, in the future, I'm going in there and taking off my mask. Just saying, someday. And then we keep walking.
And with
Something
that,
far in the
Nothing.
with that, we will take a break. Because he will die when he does that. Unless he does it when he's a high enough level.
Yeah, no. Well, specifically, he'd probably do it when he at nighttime when he has the ability to blink and just be
Yeah.
like, "Hi."
Alright, we're going to be back in around 5 minutes ish. You know what? It is what it is. I don't actually put a timer on like some people because sometimes you just have a short break, sometimes you have a long break. But we have short breaks here because Scott doesn't take phone calls in the middle of my show. Alright, we'll be back in a bit.